Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Let's hear it for Ted Cruz, our next president. My name is Dan Patrick. I'm the Lieutenant Governor in Texas, traveling with Ted all over the country. And I want to tell you about where we're going. Tonight's going to be a good night for the senator. And Tuesday, on Super Tuesday, the crown jewel is Texas with 155 delegates. And Ted is going to win Texas. He's going to take the majority of delegates. He's going to win other states in the SEC. And when you wake up on Wednesday morning on March 2nd, you could have a new leader at the top of the delegate board in Ted Cruz. That's right, don't mess with Texas or Senator Ted Cruz. I want to tell you something about what we've been sharing with people all over Iowa and Carolina, New Hampshire, and here in Nevada today. Got a chance to speak to a lot of Nevadans. And the message is very clear. There is only one true, authentic conservative in this race. There's not a second. There's not a close second. There's Ted Cruz. And I remind them that I've known Ted now for many years, serving in the Texas Senate. He was in the U.S. Senate, now as Lieutenant Governor. We work on a number of issues together. And I know that the key issue in this campaign is stopping illegal immigration. And there's only one senator who understands the border who's running in this race, and that's Ted Cruz. He's not just talking about building a wall because it became popular in the last 6 months for some candidates. He's talking about building a wall, and he's been saying that since he was elected. He ran on that. He's fought for that. He's fought against illegal immigration in the U.S. Senate. He's fought against the Gang of Eight. He'll fight to end sanctuary cities. And if anyone questions that, remember when he went to Iowa, they said, you can't talk about the ethanol subsidies because you will lose. And Ted did the right thing, and he won Iowa. We need a president who will do the right thing by the American people. In Texas, everything he campaigned on, every promise he made, he kept. And some people said, well, some of those senators in Washington weren't very happy with him when he filibustered, when he stood up and fought to defund Planned Parenthood, or when he fought this bill or that bill that they didn't want, because they're looking for someone to come to Washington in the U.S. Senate or the White House that comes along to get along, and that is not who Ted is, and that's not what the American people want. The second issue that's become an issue for, I think, more and more people every day as they think through this is our nominees to the Supreme Court. Before Justice Scalia passed away recently, I talked about this when I spoke on Ted's behalf. I said, look, the next president, over the next 8 years, the next president could appoint 3 to 5 Supreme Court justices who will be there for 20 or 30 years, long after, quite frankly, the next 8 years of Ted Cruz as president. And so which candidate is going to nominate the next Antonin Scalia or Clarence Thomas? Ted Cruz. I have no idea who Donald Trump would nominate to the Supreme Court, and that scares the bejabbers out of me. I have no idea who Donald Trump would nominate. I have no idea who Marco Rubio would nominate. And let's be clear about something. And the media is not taping this. They're waiting for Senator Cruz to come out. But let's be clear. There may be 5 guys on the ballot. This is a 2-man race. It's a 2-man race. It's between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. And next Tuesday, it's really going to crystallize because the only 2 candidates who are going to win a state next Tuesday are those 2 men. And that's why on Wednesday morning when you wake up, I said we could have a brand new leader at the top of the delegate board. So, make no mistake, if the American public, if the conservatives in this country, if the Reagan Democrats, all of those who truly believe that we need another Ronald Reagan in the White House, those who believe we need a Supreme Court of solid constitutional conservatives, those who really want the wall built, who want the end of sanctuary cities, who want us to stop illegal immigration, there is not another choice. They may be nice people, but there's not another choice to be the next president of the United States. And so I know Ted will be here shortly to thank each and every one of you. Every delegate is important. Every state is important. Every race is important. And I can tell you that he and Heidi thank all of you who have volunteered and worked so hard from the bottom of his heart. It is a huge sacrifice to put yourself out there. I mean, you see the attacks that he's under. It's a huge sacrifice to his 2 girls, to his family, to his career. But he's here because here's a guy. We go to the same church. We don't go every Sunday together. It's a big church, but we've been going to the same church for a long time. Ted's been there since he was in school at that church. And early on, here's a young man who practically memorized the entire Constitution. And as a student, he would go around and people were amazed at how much he understood about our founders and this country. And quite frankly, he may have an opponent in the race who hasn't even read the Constitution. And I know Hillary doesn't follow it. So this is not a Ted Cruz running for president coming to these decisions over the last 4 months or 5 months or 5 years. He grew up at a kitchen table with a father who was a pastor who taught him the Word of God. He learned politics from Reagan and the principles of conservatism. He understood Jefferson and Madison and all of our founders. If there ever was a candidate ready to be the next president of the United States, a candidate who won case after case on behalf of Texas at the Supreme Court, a candidate who clerked at the Supreme Court, who understands what it takes to be a conservative judge on the Supreme Court, a candidate who lives in a border state and understands that today we apprehend 5,000 to 7,000 people coming into this country a week illegally. I know those statistics as Lieutenant Governor. Those are real numbers. Never has there been someone who has spent his whole life preparing him for this moment. It's Ted Cruz. So after tonight, it's on to Texas, it's on to the SEC, and in the next 3 weeks, major decisions are going to be made. By the 15th of March, about 60% of all the delegates are going to be selected. And so it's a 2-man race now. Not only have you worked hard in Nevada, and Mark Hutchinson, your Lieutenant Governor, who's a friend of mine, reminded me it's Nevada, it's not Nevada. I've been coming here for 40 years, and he finally straightened me out. But I want you to call your friends in other states, in the SEC states. I want you to continue to go on your Facebook and your social media. For you, your work on behalf of Ted does not end tonight, even though the campaign moves on. And we're going to be back in the fall. And when we come back in the fall, we're going to take this state away from the Democrats. Hillary Clinton's going to lose. Let me just tell you something. Can you imagine the debate between Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz? I can tell you what the debate would be between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. It would just be a mess. But I can tell you the debate between Ted Cruz and Hillary Clinton. In fact, I would never feel sorry for Hillary, but I'd be close because it wouldn't be a contest. I mean, it just wouldn't be a contest. And the American public would see such a stark contrast. And Ted will win that election. I think we could have the biggest sweep since Reagan. I hear the commentators say, well, you know, can Ted beat Hillary? When's the last time we had a Republican candidate who was a young man with a family, with 2 children who can relate to young families? When's the last time we had a candidate who understood the grassroots and the Tea Party? When's the last time we had a candidate who understood the Second Amendment and was an avid hunter and gun owner? When's the last time we had a candidate who understood business and that we have to abolish the IRS and to have a flat tax rate? And I was going to say, when's the last time, but there's never been a time that we've had an Hispanic candidate leading our party. So if you look at every box, you check off the box. Strong, Christian, constitutionalist, Second Amendment, young family man, someone who has proven he will stand up and fight, whether it's against ethanol subsidies or against the senators in the U.S. Senate who don't want change. When the people see that candidate in stark contrast, and when we get down, by the way, in the debate, and it's just two candidates on that stage, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, that will be phase one. Beating Hillary Clinton will be phase two of Ted Cruz as the next president of the United States. Thank you all, and God bless.
Well, as soon as it's over, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Glenn Beck.
Well, hello, Nevada. Hello, hello, hello. It's an honor to be here tonight. And I want to talk to you, but I really want to talk to America on some of the things that I have learned just in the last few days here in Nevada. First, the people of Nevada are taking this very, very seriously. But the other thing that I have learned is that you're very angry, you're very frustrated, as most people are in America, because the system is broken and the system isn't working. And there's nobody that knows it better than the people from Nevada. And the secret here in Nevada to the anger that the media really hasn't grasped onto, and I wouldn't have understood it if I hadn't have gone and been with you for the last few days. The secret here is you've been betrayed twice. You've been betrayed by many people in the GOP, the establishment that are just playing the same game over and over and over again and making deals like the Gang of Eight. And you've been betrayed by people who told you one thing, said, I think just like you, and then went and did something else. But then to add another just hammer to the head on the people of Nevada, you were told, just like everybody else is told in Washington, if you just give me the Assembly, your House of Representatives, and then if you just give us the Assembly and then the Senate, and then if you give us the Assembly, the Senate, and the governor, well then, geez, we're going to do things unlike the Democrats could even imagine. And they did just that. They gave you the highest tax increase in the history of this state. That, America, I want you to understand, that's why the people in Nevada are so upset. That's why there is anger in this state, but it's happening all across America. And it's something that I've been talking about and warning against because it's top down, bottom up, inside out. When people are so frustrated and feel so betrayed, they will scream out for somebody, a strong man, to come and just take care of the problems. That's not what we want. That is not what we want. We are here not for Ted Cruz. We are here for the Constitution of the United States of America. And the thing that will fix all of our problems is adhering to that Constitution. We believe, Bernie Sanders has diagnosed the problem in America. He doesn't have a single solution that's right, but he's diagnosed the problem right. And it's basic fairness. And what does that mean? If you're a conservative, you quote the federal documents, and you would translate fairness with equal justice. That you can't, if you're a billionaire, you can't just go buy a politician so you can get your way, and you can hurt somebody else's business because you have more money and then just say, that's the way business is done. not. That's not the way business is done in America. Basic fairness is equal justice. It also means if somebody should go to jail, if they break the law, they do go to jail. Hillary Clinton should not be running for president. She should be in prison. And you know what? The left and the right know that. In our hearts of hearts, we all know that. But who is going to be the person that will actually do those things? America is great because, what did de Tocqueville say in the 1800s? America is great because America is good. And we have politicians right now, two of them that come to mind, that are playing to the lowest common denominator. They are playing into our anger. And if somebody is playing into your rage and into your anger, that's not elevating things, that's tearing us down, that's bringing us down. You cannot make America great if you are not helping make America good. The other thing that I learned going to the caucus today, I have never seen anything like it. It was the most angry, hostile. There were people that were acting like 4-year-olds. I wouldn't have believed it. We have it on tape and we're going to show it. I've never seen anything like it. That's not the way we treat each other. It's just not the way. I was talking to Ben Carson's wife. We had a great conversation. The media and everybody else wants everybody to hate each other. I don't hate Ben Carson, and Ben Carson doesn't hate us. I don't hate Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio doesn't hate us. We have basic disagreements. We can get along with everyone. We should be able to get along with everyone if we have principles in common, and those principles are the Constitution of the United States of America. And I will tell you that Ted Cruz was raised for these days. Ted Cruz is a man that his father escaped Marxism and communism. He was on his way to a firing squad, and he was saved, and he got out, and he escaped, and he came to America. And then he really figured out what Marxism and socialism and communism means, and he taught it to his son. And then he found the saving grace of Jesus Christ, and he taught that to his son. And then he found out the secret of America. The secret of America is not a strong man. The secret of America is that we're good and we have the rule of law. And he taught his son the Constitution. And by 13, Ted Cruz was traveling around Texas, memorized the Constitution, and doing like these weird 13-year-old shows for people to say, look at me, I can quote the Constitution and nobody else can because I'm a little 13-year-old freak. And he told people what it meant at 13 years old. It's in his bones. It's in his bones. That's why Ted Cruz goes to Washington. And he doesn't move. That's why people don't like him in Washington, because they're after the power and the money and they don't want to upset the apple cart. And he is going to do that. I've never endorsed any man ever in my life, and I've done radio and television for 40 years, and I've never endorsed anyone, and mainly because the first 25 years, nobody asked me for my endorsement. But the last 15 years, I haven't been willing to give it, because I have literal friends who I've sent to Washington, and I have voted for, and I have talked to beforehand, and I thought their soul was in check. If you ever listen to me, I always ask the question of every politician, how's your soul? And if they don't understand that question, they're not ready to go. And many of them understand that question, but they still lose it, because Washington will give you everything you desire, good or bad, to lure you in and to make you part of that team. They will sell their souls and they will give you anything for it. And I have lost friends. So the last thing I want to do is endorse somebody and then have to face you. And you say, Glenn, you told us this was a good guy. You told us this guy wouldn't do what everybody else does. I haven't been willing to give that endorsement to anyone until Ted Cruz walked into my studio. When Ted Cruz walked into my studio 4 years ago, I said to him, Ted, I've seen a lot of politicians, and you sound like all the other politicians. You go to Washington, and you betray the people that just voted for you, I'm going to be your worst nightmare. Because I don't have any friends in Washington, and I wear that as a badge of honor. But I watch Ted Cruz because I'm from Texas. The reason why he's going to win Texas in an overwhelming margin is because the people of Texas, they take this seriously. And they watched him every step of the way. And they watched him when he was getting knives in the chest from the Democrats. They watched him as the Republicans knifed him in the back. And when he was down on the ground, the media for 4 years has been kicking him in the head. But here's the good news. 2 things. 1, during that hurricane for the last 4 years, this guy hasn't budged or compromised one bit. You're tired, America, if you're tired of the politicians doing the same thing, telling you one thing and doing another, then what you need to do is vote for Ted Cruz because he's got a proven record. He will not do that. There are others. Marco Rubio, who I think is a very nice man, but I think he has lost his way. He has decided he wanted to be president of the United States, and he has moved in that direction, and he's lost his way. The Gang of Eight is clear evidence of that. And then when the record is presented, he does what? He and Donald Trump, to hide their own record, call out liar, liar, liar. Let me tell you something. I know a lot of politicians in Washington. I know good guys and bad guys. And I know liars in Washington. But I will tell you, I know Ted Cruz. He is not a liar. His honesty is impeccable. His integrity is unshakable. And the last thing, you cannot beat a Democrat with a Democrat. If you think you're going to beat Hillary Clinton with somebody else who is for amnesty, because while Ted Cruz was saying we got to build a wall, while Ted Cruz was saying we're not doing the Gang of Eight bill, Donald Trump was meeting with dreamers. Donald Trump was telling Mitt Romney that that's the worst thing. He's too tough on Mexico. He's saying these things now to get elected, but I'm telling you, between Planned Parenthood and all the other things that he has said that he's going to do, you cannot beat a Democrat with a Democrat. He will lose in the general. While you beat, for the first time since 1920, we have a true constitutionalist, somebody who is truly a conservative, somebody who will stand on that Constitution for the first time since 1920. And if we don't forget our principles, if we as conservatives all across America realize this guy means what he says and says what he means. This guy is, quite frankly, the guy most of us have been praying for our entire life. If we believe in our principles, if we have faith in our God and faith in our documents that made America great in the first place, you are going to see Ted Cruz mop the floor with Hillary Clinton this fall. So I will tell you, we leave, I at least leave, Nevada feeling good. I said earlier today, just want him to come in 3rd place. I'm totally fine with him being in 3rd place because Super Tuesday is coming. Texas is coming. This is the place that Marco Rubio said, I grew up here. My dad worked here. My mom worked here. He spent a lot of time. I haven't seen the Marco rush. Marco hasn't won anything yet. But Ted Cruz has, and Ted Cruz will. When you see what happens the week of Super Tuesday, you're going to see some wins on the board. And we're all going to be standing there cheering him on and working hard for Ted Cruz, the first Hispanic president of the United States of America. Now, I started talking to the American people about feeling betrayed, and especially you people in Nevada. There's a few Republicans that are not part of that. The Republicans that have endorsed Marco Rubio are the Republicans that passed that tax bill. It's not, they flock together. The Republicans that have endorsed Ted Cruz are the ones that stood against it the entire time. And I'm proud to introduce, you have an attorney general who is cut from that cloth and stood against it and continues to stand against the storm. He's here and he wants to talk to you. His name is Adam Laxalt.
Let's give a big round of applause for Mr. Beck. Listen, I'm going to be very short because we've got our next President of the United States standing out here. But thank you to all of you. We're all here for one reason: to help reignite a conservative revolution across this state and across this country. And I truly believe the only man that can do that is Ted Cruz. I think he's coming. Sorry.
God bless the great state of Nevada. What an incredible team we have here on the ground. I want to thank our Nevada State Chairman, Attorney General Adam Laxalt. A tremendous, strong, principled, constitutionalist conservative. When he ran for Attorney General, all the political establishment was against him. He wasn't supposed to win. I can't imagine what that feels like. I want to thank our incredible leadership team that is here, the men and women across this state that worked so incredibly hard forging a grassroots coalition. They're still counting the ballots, so we don't know the exact result. But I want to congratulate Donald Trump on a strong evening tonight. And I want to congratulate the grassroots, the conservatives across this country who have come together behind this campaign. When we started this campaign nearly a year ago, there were 17 candidates in the race. The role of the first four primaries historically has been to narrow the field. And we have seen the first four states do exactly that, narrow the field. Now, at this point, we've had four primaries. History teaches us that nobody has ever won the nomination without winning one of the first three primaries. And there are only two people who have won one of the first three primaries. Donald Trump and us. And the undeniable reality that the first four states have shown is that the only campaign that has beaten Donald Trump and the only campaign that can beat Donald Trump is this campaign. If you are one of the 65% of Republicans across this country who doesn't think Donald is the best candidate to go head-to-head with Hillary, who believes we do better in elections when we actually nominate a conservative, then the first four states have performed a vital function of narrowing this race and presenting a clear choice. You can choose between two Washington deal makers. or one proven consistent conservative. One week from today will be the most important night of this campaign. 1 week from today is Super Tuesday. "11 states, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, and the great state of Texas. One week from today, the most delegates that are awarded on a single day will be awarded next Tuesday. The role of the first 4 states is to narrow the field and give Super Tuesday a clear choice. And now the voters can decide if you want a president who will stop amnesty. Ask yourself who has led the fight against amnesty. If you want a president who will repeal Obamacare, ask yourself who has led the fight against Obamacare. If you want a president who will stand for life and marriage and religious liberty, ask yourself who's led the fight defending life and marriage and religious liberty. If you want a president who will defend the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, I'd been told folks in Nevada kind of like their guns. As a Texan, I understand. And let me tell you something, you look at those Super Tuesday states, they like their guns too. And if you want to protect that Second Amendment to stop a liberal justice from reading the Second Amendment out of the Bill of Rights, ask yourself who has led the fight to defend the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. If you want to see America standing unapologetically alongside the nation of Israel, ask yourself who has led the fight to stand unshakably with the nation of Israel. And if you want a president who on day one will rip to shreds this catastrophic Iranian nuclear deal, if you want a president who will utterly and completely destroy ISIS, ask yourself who has led the fight against this Iranian nuclear deal, against radical Islamic terrorism, and who is best prepared to keep America safe. Elections are about choices, and there are clear choices in this race. If you want more Washington deals, if you want more corporate welfare, if you want more cronyism, if you want more debt, if you want fewer jobs, if you want lower wages, you got 2 candidates to choose from in this field. On the other hand, if you want a president that says no to the bipartisan corruption in Washington, that stands up to the lobbyists and special interests, that stands up to the debt, that says we will not bankrupt our kids and grandkids, we will bring back millions of high-paying jobs, we will see wages going up, we will make young people coming out of school have 3, 4, 5 job offers, and we will ensure that our kids and grandkids have a brighter tomorrow, a greater future, a more bountiful America. That's what this choice is about. I want to thank the great people of Nevada, and I want to say, I cannot wait to get home to the great state of Texas. Tonight, I'll sleep in my bed for the first time in a month. And then it will be back to the campaign trail in Texas and all across Super Tuesday, energizing and building that Reagan coalition, those courageous conservatives, libertarians, evangelicals, young people, and Reagan Democrats all coming together. Tonight, we are one step closer to morning in America. We are one step closer to turning the pages on the failures of the Obama-Clinton disaster and getting back to the Constitution, getting back to the free market principles, getting back to the unbelievable opportunity that is the American dream. Thank you, and God bless you.